again.
Yeah.
But actually, after that, the forwards didn't really get on top of the Scotland pack, which was possibly the most pleasing aspect of it from a sort of Scottish point of view.
Dale Ferguson, for me, always delivers as well. It's very hard to find a game where Dale Ferguson isn't a solid 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 player, and he had another strong game for the Scots.
Yeah, and I really hope some of the peripheral figures, like Neil's touching on, like found it a good experience that'll make them want to be in the squad more in the future. The likes of Stein from Penrith and Bell from the Warriors and Anderson from the Roosters. These are, I hope these players have bought into something with the team that makes them come away from this tournament and want to play for them in tournaments where they might have to travel themselves and foot some of the cost of whatever themselves rather than being essentially at home almost. That's a hope. And they did some team building and stuff that didn't quite work out right. They certainly hit the notes with the Matty Russell
Tinder escapade. That was one of the funniest show I've ever seen. That was fucking brilliant. How mortified would you be who was it?
Ben Kavanagh was.
If you were Kavanagh, how mortified
was it Kavanagh or was it Halliwell?
Ben Halliwell,
yeah.
I think. He'd be absolutely mortified.
One of the Bens.
Oh, Christ alive.
Can
you imagine? Fucking amazing. Okay, moving on then to one of the biggest games of rugby league ever, in a lot of senses. New Zealand 22, Tonga 28. Kiwi tries coming through Dylan Watene-Zelezniak, Jordan Rapana and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck grabbing a brace, but a hat-trick from David Fusitua and tries from Tui Malala here and Will Hopoate got the Tongans a famous victory. Mark.
Yeah, quite a lot of people got in touch on this one. This was obviously the big game. There was a book, wasn't that, came out just before the World Cup about days that shook rugby league, which was kind of focusing on big moments in the World Cup. And I've not read it. I'm hoping it's coming at Christmas from someone. But if there's a rewrite of that book, this one.
There used to be an appendix to this book, doesn't there?
Brian Davies said, "Watch this at the wife's cousin's in Perth. The husband comes in, not Brian's husband,
no,
because he can't have a wife and a husband.
The wife's cousin's husband, one would expect.
Yes." Polyamorous Brian. He said the husband.
I'm not sure this is something that needed clearing up, to be honest with you.
The husband comes in at half time and says it looks a bit one-sided. "Oh, I don't know. Tonga are still in this," said the weary traveller. "And bloody hell was I right. In 10 years' time, RL folk will write articles about how this result changed the game forever. The potential to see England play Tonga in Auckland is just mouth-watering."
That's one word for it.
Brendan Loftus said, "Literally everything that you could want from a game of rugby league, from the noise and the colour of the crowds to the pre-match. Lots of pretty good action too, but when Tonga brought back on JT, Fafita and Takiaho, they really lifted, although New Zealand should have had the game won by then. Could see how much it took out of them, both in their next games too."
Yes, Rich Wilkinson said, "What a game. Best game I've seen since the grand final."
And St. David said, "What an incredible sporting occasion that was. A battle that tested the wills of each team to the limit. Great skill, as well as courage and strength. Above all, respect and a vibrant hymn-singing crowd. I will never forget it."
There you go. It was a phenomenal achievement for... Well, I say an achievement. I don't want to sound cocky, and I'll talk about this later on, but the Tongans were very, very up for this game, and this was the big one for them, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
But the Kiwis... Do you think it's a case that the Tongans will raise their game, or do you think the Kiwis failed to deliver? Or
no, I think Tonga have been playing to this sort of level up to this point.
What I'm saying is, how worried should we be?
Well, that's another question for later on, I suppose. It was 16-2 at half time, weren't it? And to be honest, Tonga were not making me think they had the next bit. I'd been so impressed by Ahingano in the game before against Samoa, and I didn't feel like he was imposing himself particularly on this game, which was disappointing.
Yeah.
And Lola here wasn't. I just didn't see that he was going to be enough to spark this.
Well, we would always expect
in that first half
these halves to not necessarily to be the weak link is sometimes in the halves in sides like Tonga and Samoa, isn't it?
Yeah, and I also think like the starting pack does so much for Tonga in that the three middles, Fafita, Takiaho and Tamalolo, that was pointed out in the review from Brendan, and they all made over 100 metres in this game. But the one who made the most was Tamalolo, 151. The thing is that what they were doing, obviously, in their first stint was money in the bank for the back end of the game, but it didn't quite feel like that was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But New Zealand should have taken greater advantage of the dominant position they were given in that first half, and they just didn't do it. And Tonga just got dead excited. Two, Taumalolo was able to rampage again, but up stepped Lola here and Fuzzatua on the wing, Lola here in the halves to start inspiring something out of this team. And that run around the hour mark when Fuzzatua scored his second try, and then Lola here scored his try, and then a few minutes later Hopoati scored, and all of a sudden it was a completely different picture, and it was this like totally different game, and the crowd was singing its hymns and stuff, and Tonga were on top, and then it seemed like they weren't going to push that home because they just started giving away territory and position, field position and possession. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's try where he did that step through everyone. I mean, yeah, great individual play, but you'd have thought someone would have stood up and stopped him at that point. So then you're thinking, as Tonga's race run, how's this gonna come out in the wash? And unbelievably, they had one great play left in them, and Fuzzatua completed his hat trick, and like really showed that he was he's the lesser talked of the two players who were basically selected for New Zealand and said no thanks, I'm going to play for Tonga in this Tongan side, and they did this without Michael Jennings, who is one of the proven big match players that they did have in this squad, a player who's won a World Cup, who's won a State of Origin series, who's played so much. I think he must have been in that Blues side that won it a few years back, but he's been a mainstay of Australian and New South Wales Rugby League for almost a decade, and he was missing from this game, and they put Mahe Whenua in on the wrong side to where he's been playing all his centre play this year, and he's a clumsy mess who's going to do stuff wrong at some point, and it didn't upset them. So making those few changes that they had to make didn't upset them, didn't mix things up too bad, and in fact the centres were a big part in making ground out of the back end, which left the outside guys a bit of time to score some tries.
There you go. And it certainly upset the apple cart and put Tonga into a different side of the draw as well, didn't it? So it meant that the Kiwis would have to be potentially playing Australia in the semi-final as it happened. Yeah. So we'll talk about that more in a little while. Over on to the Sunday then. Papua New Guinea 64, the United States 0, 2 for Lamb, 3 for Olam, Seguiaro, Griffin, Amin, Mead, Boas and McDonald all scoring for the PNGians, Mark. Nothing for the Yanks though.
No, I only saw the highlights of this one, to be honest, because it was the early game on the Sunday, weren't it? But I didn't get up early enough to watch it. Right. But I thought, I'm not watching that.
Well, there you go. This is a hatful of tries, but it was all
6-4-0.
Fairly one-sided.
Young Lachlan Rand came in and did quite well in place of the one of the Boas brothers. Justin Olam is one of my players that I picked out. He's the oldest of the players. I picked out players who were kind of young in my little list. He was the oldest of them. He turns 24 before the end of the year. Yeah. He's at the Storm, but he's not getting a look in. Right. He played in their Queensland Cup side that was in the Queensland Cup final last year that lost to his former side, the PNG Hunters. Right. But he scored a hat-trick in this game and showed that he's not just about mistakes, because that's kind of what I'd felt from him through the tournament this far. But 193 metres and 4 clean breaks and 3 tries is a great return for him. And the other player that I picked out from PNG was Kato Otio, and he's the centre, right? And he hasn't quite got past that error stage, but he just looks so imposing. I think he's going to be a winger in the NRL, not a centre. I think his positioning and his mistake making is too poor. But yeah, look, one side, weren't it? Nearly twice as many metres. Yeah. Both sides made a lot of errors, so I'm guessing it was a bit stop-start, but every time it did start, PNG scored a try.
There you go. Wales 6, Ireland 34, the final group game for those two sides, both going home. Morris got the only try for the Welsh, but it was Purangi, Hope with 2, Philbin, Finn and Key for the Irish.
Brian Davies said, waved my Wales flag in vain in the rectangular stadium in Perth for this one, whilst the sun beat down on us. Wales were poor and Ireland okay. Shame Ireland didn't use this game as an opportunity to give some of their squad players, especially the domestic lads, a run out.
There you go.
It wasn't a gripping game, this one. It wasn't the most fun game to watch. Probably the most... I mean, Wales didn't have any good performers, really. Morgan Knowles worked hard again, made a lot of tackles, didn't miss any, 48 tackles, no misses. Great. Every credit to him for that, and he's been one of the people who really can hold the head up high from this Wales squad. Not many more can do that so much. Liam Kay had a great game, loads of metres, scored another try. I think he's shown up well. Well, I thought Will Hope was one of the domestic products in that he was born in Ireland.
Yeah, just about.
But obviously he doesn't play out of there nowadays. And Matty Haddon was in the squad, and he was born in Northern Ireland, so
get in there.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But yeah, LMS didn't have as big a game in this one, but Kyle Amor had 159 metres, so some of those established forwards did play quite well for Ireland in this tournament. The biggest talking point from this... we haven't done the review. Have we done the reviews?
Yeah.
Oh, there's just the one, weren't there? The biggest talking point out of this game was not the performance of Ireland in this match or the result of this match as much as the implications of Ireland going out having won 2 out of 3 of their games compared to Samoa going through having won none out of 3 of their games.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on this debate?
Look, you've got to structure the tournament in such a way that it gives a certain amount of equal opportunities to people, and Ireland's ranking kind of put them where they were.
So
I don't have a massive issue with it, to be honest with you.
As I understand it, the top 6 in the world rankings were seeded in those 2 power groups, where 3 teams went through. Then I think the rest of the competition was an open draw.
Right.
But they possibly wanted to make sure PNG avoided Australia and New Zealand so they could have more games in Port Moresby. So I don't know if they were seeded into their group. I'm not quite sure how that worked.
Yeah.
But from what I can guess of it, after Samoa, who were 6th in the world France, who were 6th in the world going into this tournament, it was a free draw. And Tonga just happened coincidentally and luckily to get into the group that they got into to make that group so exciting but make things hard for Scotland. Lebanon got lucky with where they got placed, and Ireland, Wales, Fiji, PNG and USA and Italy got lumped where they got lumped. And if Ireland had been good enough in the first 2 seasons of the qualifying period to have been above, to have outplayed France in those games, they would have been above France in the rankings.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
That's
why I don't worry about it.
So they didn't qualify well enough. Yeah. And you might be okay with all these Super League players pulling out, but I don't remember McAlorum or McCarthy Scarsbrook turning out for this team, or Singleton, or...
No, it's once they got to the World Cup, then they wanted to play for them. They weren't asked in the qualifying, were they?
Well, also, the first part of the qualifying was before the new Tier 1, Tier 2 regulations came in. But that benefits Ireland, so which it didn't benefit Wales, because they couldn't pull on Super League players as much. It doesn't benefit France, because they don't get to... Even though they are a Tier 2 nation officially, they don't get to play that card, because who have they got to call on?
Yeah, exactly.
And so wouldn't Ireland have been lucky at that stage?
Yeah.
So it all comes around.
I think Tenneback's fair play on that. No,
I just think it's the luck of the draw, and it's unfortunate. But put Ireland in that group with Tonga, Samoa, and New Zealand. And do you think Ireland are winning? They might have had a game against Samoa, because Samoa are a bit of a shambles.
They'd have had a dig against Samoa, but it's entirely feasible that they'd have lost all 3-2 very handsomely.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
What do you want? Do you want to see your team winning a few games at the World Cup, or do you want to see them getting more?
And it's exactly the same format that was used at the very successful and highly lauded, the best World Cup ever in 2013.
There you go.
So, look, And to be fair, it's all moot anyway because it's going to be a different format next time when there's 16 teams in 2021.
So good luck to them in 4
But
years.
they did do well. They